Hi guys, welcome back to another video with your girl Michelle, and today's video is going to be just a little bit different. I told you guys that I had a lot of content coming up for you guys this year, and one of the things that I really want to start doing is talking about some of the real issues that I dealt with being overweight. So today's video is going to be about the trauma that I dealt with being overweight. So I just wanted to talk about some real things, some real issues that I have dealt with that I think that most of you could probably relate to. With being a person who has experienced chronic obesity, I went through a lot of trauma, and it's taking some time to undo and heal those things. So let's go back. When I was a kid, I was not overweight up until maybe I was like 6 or 7 years old. It's when I can remember hearing comments about my weight. Now, mind you, my siblings at the time, there was just 3 of us. There was my older sister, then there was me, and then we had a younger sister. And it was just us 3 at the time. And they were typical children as far as weight goes. Like, they were tiny. My mom is tiny. My dad was tiny. Like, they just were a normal weight and typically always have been. Me, on the other hand, I had a propensity to hold weight. I can particularly remember going Easter dress shopping. And I remember it being super easy to find my other 2 sisters something to wear. And I remember trying on like 10 dresses in Sears and none of them fit. We didn't leave with me a dress that day. I remember it taking us some time to find a dress that was suitable for me. In a lot of Black households, like, Easter is like a big to-do. So like, you would dress up. Like, we didn't go to church and stuff, but like, my mom would dress us to the nines as if we were going to church. To be 6, 7, 8 years old and feel stressed about your body and it being able to fit into or not fit into a garment is one of the most terrible feelings that I can ever recall feeling. And I do want to say that my family never intentionally made me feel bad. So while my family may have never just outright called me fat, I felt that way based on certain comments, certain treatment, and I developed a negative body image for myself. And in truth and in hindsight, I wasn't fat. Was I overweight for my age group? Yes. But I wasn't fat, and it was really all like baby weight. When I look back at pictures of me when I was maybe in 7th, 8th grade, to me, I look normal. But in my mind, I was so huge. And that stemmed from having siblings that were normal size, small, and I was just larger. I remember times where I would just eat because I already was fat, so I would just keep going back to the kitchen and eating. I remember a time where my mom went like on a massive grocery shop. Right? Like, I'm talking about $800-900 back in the late 90s. So this was a ton of food. And I can remember getting the box of waffles, 12 waffles to a box, and eating the whole box. That started sort of a pattern of binging. And then in a lot of our families, gatherings are based around food. So it was almost celebrated. Like, if you piled your plate full and then you showed back up to the adults with an empty plate, it was almost like celebrated and applauded. Like, she ate all her food. Like, you know, it was a thing. So I can I'm actually having like a visceral reaction because I can remember binging food and being praised for it. On one hand, you're being praised that you completed your meal, this massive meal that could have fed 3, 4 people. And then on the other hand, it's like, oh, you can't fit any of your clothes. We have to take you shopping again. And, just being made to feel like your weight was a burden on your family. I didn't know I was going to get emotional. I'm still working through some of this stuff. And like I said, this was not like intentional fat shaming or bullying. This is how it is in a lot of households when it comes to weight. That pattern of binging continued. It continued through high school. I wasn't a person in elementary and high school that had a lot of friends. I didn't have a set friend group. I was mostly a loner. We were going through a lot at home, and I mostly retreated within myself to protect myself, which also ultimately created negative impact on how I addressed food. I would eat to protect myself. I literally tell you all, if I am in a shit place mentally, you'll see it. I'll be wearing it in my body on fat. I mean that. As I got older, in my late teens, I was working jobs. I was working at restaurants. I was eating more food. And even me and my sisters, like, we would go out. Like, we still, we love a restaurant. Period. I can't eat hardly anything, and I love a restaurant. We're going to order some food. Okay? That's one thing we're going to do. We're going to eat out. Yeah. But for myself, I do that socially. But for myself in my regular day-to-day life, I hardly ever eat out. Now, I live away from my family currently. I live hundreds of miles away from my family. And so I don't see my sisters as often. But when we are together, we enjoy a meal and a talk and a kiki. We're going to have us a drink. We're going to have us a meal. And we're going to have us a laugh. There was a point where me and one of my sisters was going to the buffet every day. You hear me? The buffet was like, the lunchtime buffet was like $6.99. We was teenagers. We ain't had no money. Like, we was scraping up $7 every single day and hopping on the bus. Baby, the number 1 to the number 28, the number 4 to the number 28, number 28 to Old Country Buffet. Okay, we were in there, okay, every day. And she wasn't gaining no weight, but meanwhile, I was turning into a beluga whale. At this point in time, I was dealing with super low self-esteem, chronic depression, and just a host of other issues. And so this was like my escape. I'm gonna link up with my sister and we're gonna go get something to eat. The food was a covering for me. I would binge. So that fed right into my binging. Like, we're gonna go and eat this massive amount of food and it's gonna temporarily make me feel good, but then at the end of it, I'm gonna feel like crap again. My self-esteem is low. I don't have any friends. I don't have any, I just didn't know what I was doing with my life at the time. I had no point, no purpose. So I was just in a cycle. Now, mind you, this was during my formative years as a young woman. So there were a lot of things that probably could have went so wrong that thank God they didn't. I put myself in so many reckless situations just behind having low self-esteem. And the first time somebody showed me some attention, I was like all in. So yeah. It really plays a massive role in the structure of my life. It really did. It really did. I went for a long time just in a depressive state where I didn't really care about anything. And my weight definitely factored into that. I was at a decent weight, but in my mind, I was huge. In my mind, I was so large that like I really couldn't stand it. I really couldn't stand myself. I really could not. And I really wasn't. I was probably maybe 220 pounds. I wasn't taking very good care of myself. And so, yeah, people treat you a certain way and you accept it. And you go through this life of just living unhappy and not dealing with it. And when I finally got to the place of wanting to deal with it, I started working out. And that was a beautiful time for me because I was seeing small changes in my body, but I was also noticing how the gym and fitness impacts you mentally. And so even though I was seeing small changes in my body, I was seeing big changes in my mental health. And so I continued on with it. And I was on that path for years. I yo-yo dieted until I ultimately ended up getting the VSG surgery. You guys, the point of me making this video is not to just rehash old feelings or to deal with unhealed parts of myself, which I am currently doing through therapy. But the point of this video is to really just bring awareness to the fact that there is a trauma associated with being overweight. And I just wanted to share and express where some of my traumas associated with it came from. And when you can really just sit back and look at the things that alter your brain's chemistry in regards to yourself, you can start to undo some of that thinking, right? So like, I wear a lot of crop items. I was never able to wear something like that. And in somebody's mind, I probably still shouldn't be putting that on. But for me, I'm working hard on my body. I'm comfortable with myself. I love the changes that have happened in my body, in my waistline. And it was always something that I thought was so beautiful. My sister used to, baby, she would put on a crop top in the wintertime. Hence why I got a crop top on in the wintertime. It was always so beautiful to me. It was always so feminine and so soft. And I don't know. I just really always liked it. And at first, it took me out of my comfort zone. We have to challenge these negative thoughts about ourselves. And so no matter where they came from, it's our job to reinforce positivity in regards to ourselves. Nobody's responsible for your emotions and your happiness, just you. And so that's really what I wanted to convey here. So as I navigate this new journey with loving myself as I am in this body right now and continuing to change the things about my body that I am capable of changing, I recognize some of the things that I went through in my own daughter. My oldest daughter is so much like me. She's so loving, so sweet, so sensitive, so caring. She's a genuinely good person. And she has the exact same body type at 8 years old that I had. And I can see that she struggles with that. I thank God that I lived through what I lived through so that I can help her navigate her own body positivity. I often thank God that I went through some of the things that I went through so that my children never have to. And these weight struggles are one of them. I can't control how she physically feels in her body. I can show her how to love herself in spite of how she feels about her body right now. I can be the example of choosing a banana over chips. I can be the example of, hey, let's drink some water instead of juice. I can be the example of, let's get outside and get active today. That was the main goal for me getting this VSG surgery. I joke and play all the time about I want to look good, and I do. But being healthy and well for my children is the #1 priority. Being a positive, healthy, happy role model for them, not only just with my weight and the way I eat and the way I work out and the way I take care of myself, but also being an active example. I'm showing you these things through how I live. It's just such a beautiful full circle moment for me because I had such a negative self-image And now I have such a positive self-image. And just being there to help my daughter navigate those normal body issues that really all girls are going to have. When I was going through the struggle of negative self-image, I really didn't have anybody there to help me navigate that. Anybody that I could talk to. Nobody that could relate to what I was going through. Everyone around me had a different sort of body issue. I didn't have anybody that was overweight that I could lean on. My mom wasn't overweight. She wasn't able to have me lean on her for that. To her, I was just cute and fluffy. Like, for God's sake, my nickname for her still to this day is Puff. Puff and stuff. Like, because I was fluffy and I like to hug and all of that kind of stuff. So, you know, I didn't really have an outlet for that. And I'm, you know, thankful that I'm able to be that for my daughter, and that I understand, I know from experience how some of these things feel. Prioritizing my mental health throughout this journey has been tough. Facing myself has been rough. Making active changes has been hard. All the while still trying to focus on, you know, my family and making sure they're okay, and all of the things that come along with being a mom. But putting myself first, prioritizing me, has been one of the best things that I could have ever done for myself. I will never not put me first. And I'm teaching my children that. You always come first. Worry about how you feel first, and then worry about other people. Because you have to be okay. I don't always get it right. Sometimes I find myself focused on everything else around me, and then I have to actively tell myself, nope, are you okay in this moment? You're not okay. Stop, get yourself together, make sure you're good, and then focus on everything else. We have to do that, you guys. We have to. Even as mothers, as partners, as friends, as sisters, as daughters, as sons, whatever you are to everybody else, you are you first. I prioritize me. I take me seriously. So you guys, that's gonna bring us to the end of this little chit chat video, and I hope you enjoyed it. I do want to touch on more topics like this. It's really important to me that people step outside of the VSG umbrella and really look at the real struggles that put us in the position that we're in. Yes, is there a genetic component? Is there certain conditions and certain things that factor into being overweight that are outside of our control? Yes, but 9 times out of 10, we're eating too much and we're not moving enough. Period. You have to be able to take accountability for how your actions played a part in where you are today. And that's the only way that we can go forward and change. We can't make real change unless we face ourselves. And for me, the trauma of being overweight growing up carried throughout my life because I didn't face myself. Once I began to look myself in the mirror and see exactly who I was, my whole life changed. So I want to say thank you for watching this video. If you stayed to the end, I really appreciate you. I have so many more little topics coming up that I want to chit chat about, and I hope you'll join me for those. Until next time, I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.